I've said this before, but it's one of the most important projects that I've ever worked on, excuse me, in my life. I'm not getting emotional, I'm just losing my voice. And it's the biggest movement I've worked on since Brexit. And the brand loyalty and connection from people is the most beautiful thing that I've had the pleasure to be part of. So, with that said, GB News have launched a legal case against Ofcom to challenge this ruling, and GB News have said we will not be silenced. I mean, good luck trying to silence someone like me, right? If I was in a room on my own, I would talk to myself. And the premise of the GB News legal challenge are saying that the decision go against journalists and broadcasters' rights to make editorial judgments in line with the law. The statement said GB News has begun formal process of challenging recent Ofcom decisions which go against journalists and broadcasters' right to make their own editorial judgments in line with the law, which also go against Ofcom's rules. Ofcom is obliged by the law to uphold freedom of expression, which I think you can make a really robust, strong argument it has not done. Ofcom is also obliged to apply its rules fairly and lawfully. We believe that for some time now, Ofcom has been operating in the exact opposite manner. Let's not forget Channel 4 just announced their general election lineup. You've got people like, it's a whole slew of liberal faces. The Alistair Campbells of the world, the Rory Stewarts of the world, the Christian and Guru Murthy of the world. Who did you say, Alex?
Emily Maitlis.
Emily Maitlis. How could I forget Emily Maitlis? And it said, the GB News say Ofcom hasn't been applying its rules fairly and lawfully. We cannot allow freedom of expression and media freedom to be trampled on in this way. Freedom of the press is a civil right established by the British in the 17th century with the abolition of censorship and licensing of the printing press. I think it's a great statement. I think it's robust. I think I'm really proud that they've done this, actually, and I wish them all the best, because this is essentially the deep state, right? This is Ofcom are snivelling leftists within the civil service apparatchik, and they seek to shut down dissenting voices of opinions they don't like. GB News was the only broadcaster on telly that was willing to actually challenge the consensus on lockdown, right? It was the only broadcaster actually willing to air voices and views of people who the BBC and Sky, Sly News and all these others turn their noses up. Channel 4 News is so left, right? You go back to Margaret Thatcher's day. She used to call Jon Snow a pinko, right? She used to say that they were the Reds under the bed. And she's absolutely right to this day. Have you ever seen on Channel 4 a fair and impartial report on Israel? Because I certainly haven't. There are so many ways in which they are not impartial. And we need GB News, I think, in the media ecosystem to actually ensure that people have broadcasters and views and representation within the media landscape. Now, I'm speaking in a personal capacity right now, not on behalf of GB News, but I wholeheartedly support them in this endeavour, and I wish them all the very best, and I thank them for doing it. But Alex, I wonder if you've got any thoughts on that before I choke to death again.
Yeah, well, look, again, I just wanted to reiterate, I'm a contractor at GB News, so I don't want people to feel like my opinion's too biased, but I was a viewer of GB News before I was ever a political commentator there. And, frankly, GB News takes a lot of criticism from people live on its own operation, but also it's the only channel that I watch, from BBC to Sky to Channel 4 to anyone at LBC, that always has a balanced panel. There is when I go on, it's obvious I'm on the right, but there's always a lefty challenging me on every single show I'm ever on. I have not been on a show without a left-wing person challenging me. That is a fact. I'm happy to put my hand on my heart and say that. So GB News always does its best to have a balanced argument, that's for sure.
Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.